like to, let's get started. I'd like to welcome Dave, Bob, and Brian. This is their first meeting. Glad to have you guys aboard. We'll start with our consent agenda. We've already voted on this, so we don't need to vote on consenting. I want to say, any of you guys have any questions as we move along, don't hesitate to stop, ask questions. No question is too basic or whatever, so jump right in. So at our year in review last month, we approved our slate, so we're official, so I won't ask for a vote on that. Moving on to remarks. We include this usually in every board meeting. A reminder that we can write an article monthly to go into the Mountain Mail, and those are to be sent to Keith Krebs. Anyone can write something, run it by him first. Newsletter content to Tom Palka by the 23rd, because he likes to get it out by the 1st of the month. Anyone's welcome to add content to that. And I must say the newsletter has been fantastic. Lots of content, lots of interesting things, and definitely worth reading. I think everyone's really enjoying it. So consider new board members, feel free to submit. The year-end review meeting and slideshows all posted on YouTube and our website. So I know we missed the slideshow at the end of the year-end review. Feel free to check it out. It's now posted. And end of the month, we send Karen our volunteer hours. So as you new people, as you have hours, there's a form that you can fill out, send to her in the first week of the month. She submits all those to National. They track how many hours we have. So I imagine she might send that form out to all here at some point. Upcoming meetings. Our next board meeting is January 12th via Zoom. We'll stick with Zoom for a while longer. 6 p.m. is our normal start time. Do we have anyone that wants to run the January meeting? Any volunteers?
I can do that if you like, but we ought to decide if we're going to have just a board meeting or some kind of program.
Yeah, well, what kind of program would that be? We always seem to not have enough time for a normal board meeting.
Well, aren't we going every other month?
Yeah,
You know
we're
what?
having a board meeting now.
I know. So next January should be a membership meeting. Right?
It should be, right. Yes, not a board meeting. Normally we have a board meeting in January, don't we? And we don't meet in December. That's kind of interesting because we met in November for a year in review. So we must have scheduled this meeting because we had a lot to go through, so we could skip January for a board meeting and go to February, the second month. Do we want to have a general membership meeting? What's the date for February? We would have to have a program, and I don't know, it's kind of difficult to do with Zoom. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, it's actually easy to do with Zoom.
Yeah.
But trying to get the right program and the right speaker, that's the trick. But it's actually easier to do it in Zoom, but it's not as user friendly. So who could we get to speak
Do we need it?
or have a
yeah,
program?
That's a difficult part. We've rolled through.
Well, we at some point we should invite the new head of the Forest Service that just moved here from Alaska, who has a degree in wildlife management, to at least have him come to a meeting so we can be introduced and maybe get a sense of where he's coming from.
Jim Pitts leave?
Yes. He's in Canyon City. He got a promotion.
No, he didn't. He didn't go to Canyon. He
Canyon,
went to
Colorado Springs?
Pueblo.
Pueblo, that's right.
He's been gone for quite a while now.
He went to the regional office. Well, I have a suggestion, everybody, for a program.
Good.
after reading what Pam sent out about the state's new shift, wasn't aware of that. I guess I would like to, well, let me back up. I think somebody from the state office should give us a presentation on what they're trying to accomplish with this shift. I
That
guess
was
it's
a national change, national.
That's you. That's national.
okay. Same.
Well, it'd be
How's it-
interesting to know which rivers in Colorado are gonna be included in the plan. I think they're looking for input, so maybe that's where we could focus the meeting, is to invite them to speak on what they think.
Okay, Gene, that's partly where I'm going is I recently did a talk on to a Rotary Club here in the Parker area on wildfires and how it relates to Colorado water. Now, as I read this vision and shift of, is it a shift in priorities? Is that what it is?
No, I think they have a 5-year plan that they wanna get a lot more buy-in to from communities to leverage other people to do more. That's what I got out of it.
Well, and I speak to Rita on this too, because one of the main reasons I'm on this, what I'll call it, the Public Relations Committee, is as I read through the national initiative here, we can have all the volunteer time and actions all we want, but if there's no water in our rivers in the future, what's the point? So when I gave that talk, was more related to how these issues that we're facing with our erosion from our wildfires and all that, how it's affecting our water quality. The fact that our droughts now and all the use in our state from all the water users our rivers are getting lower and lower. So if we go with our slogan on our license plate, protect our rivers, to me, we need to address the heart of the matter, and that's the usage of the water in all of our watersheds and rivers. So I was going to bring this up as a main theme for myself tonight anyway, on some of these topics that we're on and all the things that we do. So I'm suggesting that we have somebody from the state office, David Nickham probably, come to our chapter in January and explain to us what they hope to accomplish with this. And I'd be glad to call him and talk to him if you want.
Yeah, you're saying he'd do it by Zoom though, not come to the chapter.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And I'm on Zoom is my life, like a lot of us. We cover a lot of topics. It is very effective. And we're still in the middle of this nasty COVID. So I don't see that we have much choice, but Zoom is a great alternative. So I think it'll be very effective. We could have 150 people on the Zoom. It doesn't matter.
That's true.
You know, Jim, can I throw something in here? I'm not so sure it's the usage of our water that they're concentrating on.
I know.
I think it's just the fact that are we going to have any water in the future because of climate change? And I see TU making a shift toward addressing climate change as their main goal now, because that affects all of these resources, trout being one of them, but it affects every resource that we deal with, from wildfires to droughts to low snowpack to everything that's going on right now. It all comes back to climate change. And so I think that they are realizing that the more organizations that prioritize that, maybe the better chance we will have of actually getting something done.
Yeah, I think we're talking the same thing, Bill. So there's a lot of different angles to come at this, and I want to keep going back to what's on my license plate. Protect our rivers. What does that mean to us? And so I'll be glad to talk to Nickham if you agree with that suggestion. So
In addition to that, I think that's a good idea, but I'd like him to address what's happening with the Colorado Water Plan as well, because it all fits into that.
Well, yeah, and Karen, you will, I kind of alluded to, if I didn't say specifically, that there are so many different angles to come at this subject with, that the Colorado River Basin is absolutely one of the biggest issues in the West right now, and it's going to challenge the whole country. So, how is TU's the national initiative all the way to our chapters, how it's going to affect us? So I agree with you. And we could spend 2 hours on a program like that. So I guess maybe to help move this along, if someone wants to work with me after this meeting on, if you want me to call David Nickum, maybe we can help him with more of a narrow focus on a more focused presentation on what we hope to have him address with us, to us.
Well,
think
that would be a good place to start, but he'll probably have some other issues that are important to him too. So, a little bit of give and take, make it sound like, he can talk about something else too. That might entice him.
Okay, I think, well, it'll work out. We got intelligent people here that can make this presentation. So, but I think the main focus should be, of course, on how we as a chapter are going to help this initiative. So, again, I throw that out there for your okay.
I want to add that National TU, the CEO is Chris Wood, gave an excellent speech on the shift and new direction of TU, which is definitely worth listening to. I highly recommend go to TU's website, listen to his 20-30, no, it's more like an hour. And what Bill and Jim are talking about is exactly what he is redirecting all of us to be thinking of, and including with climate change, the fires are coming, the resulting debris flows that dump into our rivers and ruin everything. I think David Nickum is, if we engage him, he's basically, I would guess, going to follow Chris's lead and perhaps just drive that narrative home. It's not from David, it's from Chris. But we all could afford to hear it again and then see how that applies to the Colorado River Basin and us locally. He can probably personalize it for Colorado, and hopefully it's got the time. There's 20 some chapters in Colorado, and hopefully you can meet in the evening and talk to us. And I'm all for that.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Anyone like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we pick a date.
It would be the second Wednesday, which is February 9th. If we,
January.
February 9th
January.
is our board meeting. Are we
We're
talking?
in January.
this is a January.
Bob Hamill has his hand up.
I can't see everyone. Bob, go ahead.
Rick, I just want to ask Jim if what you're really looking for is where CTU is, then obviously Nickham's a great choice. And you're right, it's a gigantic subject. I mean, with my time on the roundtable, we just had a 6-hour meeting today with Dan Gibbs was one of our presenters today, director of DNR. I mean, there is a lot going on for everything you guys have mentioned, the Colorado Water Plan, watershed health, you name it. What are we doing with our own basin? If that's of interest, we could scale down what you want to know about. But it's like, if you want to know what CTU is doing, then Nickham's the choice. But there's a lot going on. There's a lot of people that I work with that I could bring in too, that can talk about the specifics of whatever it is you want to talk about. You want to talk about what's going on the Colorado, or watershed health, or work that people like Arkansas River Watershed Coalition are doing. There's a lot of people. Chaffey County has more going on than just about any other drainage, any other county in the state as far as dealing with issues that we are all faced with. And that was even acknowledged by Gibbs today. So we have some amazing people right here. Depends on what you want to talk about. I mean, we got a whole year's worth of programs easily in this topic.
Well, Bob, might I suggest this then? I'm suggesting that since this is a national initiative that's going to affect all of us, I'm suggesting then that we do have this as an umbrella presentation, I'll call it, where then we could take off from there and work from where you're suggesting with these other experts such as yourself and others to bring us along throughout the year with some of the things that we're working on. Like when I was with Keith at the, I'm forgetting the name of it now, the stream management presentation on August 7th, where we met in Salida. And that, where we met several of the folks that you're referring to that were representing the Arkansas Valley. So if we have a state or even a Chris Wood himself presentation, then we can take off. Let's just suggest we take off from what you're suggesting with some of the presenters throughout the year.
How about we have David Nickum talk about our new national shift that we're talking about. Start with the national and just let him talk about that and how he wants to apply it to Colorado. And then at the next general membership meeting, we follow up with one or two people that Bob suggested and talk about our local resources and how they will affect our valley. And as Bob said, there's a ton of information, ton of experts that could talk to us. Why don't we start with the top, with CTU and national, and then bring it home in maybe April, with a couple speakers lined up, 2 or 3 people, whatever Bob thinks that would work for one general meeting for an hour presentation or so.
One of the things I'm concerned about is most of our membership, and maybe even not some of the members of the board, may not even know how much water we're actually losing because they're diverting water from the Fryark project down into Lake Powell and Lake Mead, so they can continue to generate power for the West Coast.
Sure.
And I think that's one of the biggest impacts we're going to feel from this sort of national thing is, are we going to continue to lose water, and maybe even out of the main stem of the Colorado, not just some of that diversion water that's going to tremendously affect our voluntary flow program and what we've come up with for protection of the fishery.
Well, Bill, I guess you're confirming what I originally brought up about 15 minutes ago. Was my biggest concern is the usage. So how can Trout Unlimited help with spreading the word on, or adjusting to the fact that there's more and more of this water is being used as we have less and less. So with what Bill just said and what Rick just said, I'll just make a motion that we have this program. And what's the January date?
It's the 12th, Jim. So if
Gonna do it in
January
January.
12th.
I'll make the
January
motion
12th.
that we have the January 12th general program meeting with what Rick just said.
So my only question about that is being very close to the holidays and for David to get something prepared, could we give him the alternative date if he couldn't get it together as the second Wednesday in February?
That would be our board meeting, general board meeting.
Can we not be friggin' flexible? I mean, we haven't operated
Well,
on,
let's go with January 12th and see what he says.
that's what I was just saying. If he says he
flexible,
can't
we could
do it,
that
do you want to
later.
give him a backup? Jeez Louise.
Well, okay, if I'm the one to talk to him, we'll see what we can work out.
I don't
And,
understand, you
I
guys.
think,
Karen,
I think if it doesn't work, we'll regroup and we'll make it work some way.
My only point is you do that in one phone call instead of having to say, well, I better go back and see if we can do it in February. That's all I'm trying to say.
I'll make an executive decision and I'll tell him he has to do it.
so if
So
we're
on that
flexible,
note, Jim, I'm gonna second your motion.
all right. All in favor? Or let me ask this, who's opposed? Anyone opposed? Nobody? All right.
Discussion.
Rick,
Yes, I
I'd
have
like
one
to,
more point. You could ask Chris Wood to come too, because when I first read the change, I immediately emailed him because I had some concerns and he responded.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with getting him, but that'd be wonderful. Pam, go ahead.
okay, I'm the one who wanted this item on the agenda because I hadn't heard anyone discuss it. And the documents that I sent out this afternoon, the first one that showed the National TU mission and then our mission, my question was, does the shift at TU affect our mission? And for me personally, I would have to say no,
I don't think so either.
but that was the purpose of those two documents. Because again, I hadn't heard anyone even mention that the national shift, much less how it affected CTU and then how it affects us.
And I read those, Pam, and I agree with you. Well, now that we know more about it, let's run with it. Maybe we'll
Okay.
take the lead in the state by doing this.
Okay,
All right. So if we're flexible on board meetings, as Karen alludes to, I always thought we were working on it every other month, but if that's not set in stone and if no one wants to hold us to that, then Jim can offer the February 9th if January 12th doesn't work. How about that?
February 9th?
Yeah.
Okay,
Why
that's
does it have to be the second Wednesday of the month? You know, if we're talking about being flexible, it seems like, you know, if he can't do it on Wednesday, maybe he can do it on Thursday. I don't know.
All right. Jim, you make an executive decision on you two coming up with a date that works. I
There
think
you
we-
go.
We'll
We'll just
make
get
it
her
through meeting
done.
work. All right. All righty. New business. Tom Palka. He's present. He's asking for approval to move our web hosting from HostGator, which is expiring soon, to a better platform that he uses for other organizations called SiteGround. Cost is about the same.
I make a motion that we do it.
All right.
Thank you, Chief.
Motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
right.
Okay.
I have a question.
Like, we're good.
I have a comment as far as Mr. Pelka. Are you this what's the official title or name of this national? Is it a shift? Is they called it a shift?
It's just a new mission and vision statement.
Okay, a new mission and vision statement. Tom, if you haven't posted it on the website, I guess I'd say, since we're gonna try to get a program on this, I'm gonna ask Tom if he could put a banner title up there, national new national vision and
So,
missions.
yeah, so not to interrupt you, but I did actually, and it's in the last newsletter. So it went out, I think it was like the 6th or 7th item in the newsletter. And I can certainly grab that and post it on our website if,
Well, sorry, I guess I actually went through the newsletter, maybe I read it too fast,
no, no
sorry.
worries. There was no picture banner, so it might have folded in content-wise,
Well,
whatever
It's
other items.
it's worth repeating, maybe a separate posting of this, since, as a precursor to the program, maybe. That's all.
Sure, yeah, I think that sounds good. I'll do that.
Okay, Tom, you have approval. Good to go there on
Great, thank you.
Covina. Next item is our storage shed costs have gone up another 10%. Seems like every year they seem to be raising prices. Does anyone know of any other storage companies? We are at the big one there at Poncha Springs, right off the highway.
We have a few units at Shelf Storage there. They're about $100 a month.
For how big?
You do have to go on a waiting list though.
Is that on Highway 50?
That's over on J Street by the elementary school.
Okay.
What are we paying
Is
now?
that for 10 by 20?
I believe so.
Okay.
I was gonna
Uh,
ask, is that
let me-
the size
let me
we have
ju-
now is 10 by 20? Is that?
No, let me
That's what
jump
we-
in and say what we're renting now is a 10 by 15.
Oh, it's 15?
Yeah, 10 by 15. It's A&A storage there in Poncha Springs. And to answer your question, Jim, our monthly rental is going to jump from $90 to $98 a month. And they bill us quarterly. So I have paid through February of 2022. So we have some time to decide if we want to shop around. I did call them and ask if they had a rate for nonprofits, and he said no. But this is, in all honesty, I looked at what we've been paying them over the years, and this is their first rate increase. Years.
We lost
So-
you.
Yeah.
And how
so it
long,
will-
Pam?
3 years.
3. Okay.
You
3
know
years.
what? I think we should just keep it.
Especially
wanna-
if Brian says it's $100 a month that he knew about.
Is
So
is
that's
it possible that
$100.
we can get rid of some stuff and downsize to a smaller unit?
No, the storage
think
shed is full. I'm probably access it more than anybody. It works very well for $8 a month increase. Keep it. It's working pretty well. We got a nice lock on it now that's easy to work. So I don't see this as an issue at all. Let's just keep going, pay the $8 a month.
Here, let's move on.
All right.
Do
Okay,
we need a
Everyone-
motion for
I
that?
was gonna say, do we need a motion? I move that we keep the current storage unit at the new price.
I'll second it.
Anyone opposed? All right. We'll stay there. Everyone just keep it on your radar. If you are at a storage company, you might check rates for 10 by 15 and see what they're at. If it's cheap, let us know. Moving on, report on CTU's last quarterly Board of Directors meeting. To all the new folks, our CTU has a board of directors. It has a hired and paid for staff. David Nickum is the executive director, and there's 4 to 5 to 6 employees. They meet quarterly, and they also have an annual rendezvous, which I think has been difficult to do. I think they canceled one. They did one via Zoom. So Jim attended. I think Reed also did. They mentioned after that meeting, they had a few things that they wanted to bring up to the board. So I'm going to turn it over to Jim. I'm not quite sure what he's got, but Jim, would you learn anything we need to know about from the last board meeting?
No, well, I don't have anything. I'll turn it over to Reed. But since we brought this up, what I did do is I shared the information with our AV expert, Mr. Pelka, and he said he was glad to have it, and he used what I learned that evening on how to improve your website and all those public relations AV techniques. So that's about all I had to share. I'll just turn it over to Reed. Young Reed.
Reed, you got anything?
Well, Jim, one thing we needed to talk about was this whole idea that every chapter is going to select their favorite rivers to be included in this plan that the state has. And I'm going to be attending the Bull Moose meeting next Monday. And I think we need an update because this has been put on a short track and we haven't got any, after the meeting that Jim and I was at, we really haven't got any more background on that. So that's something we need to think about. And the problem is, as Bobby alluded to also, there's so much going on in this valley. It's all positive. It's there's only going to be X number of rivers that are selected and they're going to get money in PR, but so what river or creek are we going to select? I mean, the Arkansas is pretty well covered in my perspective for all the angles. Yes, we have major concerns with climate change. We have problems with Trans Mountain diversions, but as far as other issues, we could select the Arkansas, but I think the way I'm feeling now, we're just layering something on. We ought to put our ideas into another stream in, between Leadville and Canyon City. And I'm not sure which stream we would select. You guys could select the Arkansas, but my sense of it is this thing is going to be delayed, and we're not going to be so much under the gun, but that's what they want every chapter to do, is to pick a river or a stream that they want to concentrate on for the next year.
I just reread in the new national TU things, that's one of their goals, is to nationally to prioritize the rivers. So this is probably the state step. I don't know if Bobby's heard anything about.
That's correct, Karen. It's coming from national, and then
Yeah.
every state has been asked to do this.
In conjunction with other entities that TU's trying to line up with, or I didn't get a chance to read what was sent out as far as what national or even CTU is trying to do. Is that what you're asking, Karen? Is there? Yeah, I don't know. TU's name doesn't come up that often in the roundtable,
I'm sure.
to be honest. And it hasn't since Reed was gone and Drew, and there's nobody there. I mean, that's the void. I hope I'm not officially filling it, but I will obviously update you guys. But I don't hear anything about this initiative through roundtable, if that's what your question is.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect to at this point, Bobby. Drew Peter now is actually in charge of this whole thing for the state. So maybe we should touch base. I could touch base with Drew on this, but you guys need to be thinking about a quote unquote favorite stream that you feel needs a lot more attention and a lot more things done for it than we're already doing. Or if you feel that the Arkansas needs something that we don't currently understand, that's fine. But every chapter is going to be tasked with this effort.
Keith,
I'd like to-
you have something?
I'd like
Go
to
ahead.
say something. First, we've already put money, effort, volunteer hours into the South Arkansas. That is made more progress than any other river tributary in the valley. I'd also like to remind you guys, I think Bob and Reed have both attended the Upper Arkansas Watershed Partnership. They are actually an umbrella coordinating organization that's trying to keep all these different groups going in the same direction. I think their meetings are typically attended by 35 or 40 people, and anybody that's interested ought to get into that loop. But the South Arkansas has so much work to do yet, and there's so much potential. We have a subcommittee out of the UAWP working on the South Arkansas. Our focus at this point is see what we can do about flow regime in that river. That's a huge, complicated project. Most people say you can't do that. Just don't even try. I think we're going to try for a while. So when we get to the implementation phase, I'd like to get started with some design engineering work on that 1.2 mile stretch that you guys are all familiar with. Of course, that will take fundraising. And then the Foozes Creek project, which has to do with the Xcel power plant shutdown. That's a tributary of the South Arkansas. I mean, we've got Bill Guzman's study. We have the health assessment. We have a lot of people engaged with that now. I think that's the perfect candidate, and it's not figured out at all.
I agree with
Good
Kate.
input.
River ought to be the South Arkansas. We've got money for it and we've put a lot of work into it. Keith has.
Bill's got a comment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
Bill.
just seems to me that if you protect the main stem of the river, you protect all those side streams. So if we let the main stem go, you're gonna maybe protect one little side stream, and there's 20 or 30 other ones that we're not gonna pay any attention to. But if we pay attention to the main stem, then all these other ones are also gonna get attention because they all affect what happens to the main stem.
There aren't threats to the main stem, except for this little one that, what is the issue with the main stem? That's been an issue. I think Dave might have had his hand up too.
I just had a quick question. I glanced through the shift document and I didn't see anything about criteria of how are you identifying
Wasn't any.
priority rivers or creeks. So maybe it's getting that information first before, arguing over which of the, 20 that we could. Because maybe they have something strict that would eliminate some of these other options. I don't know.
Good comment.
So what does protect mean in this concept? What are they looking for? And I think that's what Dave's kind of asking, right, Dave?
Prioritize is the word.
Prioritize?
Prioritize.
But what, prioritize for what?
Okay, I'll read you this thing. This is one of National's goals. Identify a national network of shared priority waters for native and wild trout and salmon and take strategic action to care for and recover them. It's goal number 1.
And see, we have wild trout. We don't
We have
have
wild
any native
trout.
We have no native trout in the Arkansas system.
It doesn't prioritize those. It says native, wild, and salmon.
Well, I think what National wants to do is find a few big projects like Pebble Mine, the 4 dams on the Snake
River.
River, the Colorado River, the Rio Grande River, maybe, big things. And that doesn't preclude local chapters from doing their own thing on their own little project. So I think we're talking 2 different things. We can still have the South Ark as our chapter project, but still participate in this national initiative.
Yes, Jim.
One thing you have to realize is if you think about it, the Front Range chapters, a lot of them don't have any rivers at all that would qualify. So they're gonna piggyback on to another stream that maybe their chapter members feel the strongest about. And we don't have to stay within the basin. Somebody mentioned the Rio Grande. The Rio Grande has got way more problems than probably any stream on the Arkansas, that's for sure. But anyway, I think, the point is we need some more direction on this. I'd be willing to talk to Drew about it and maybe we can get something in writing from them.
Jim,
Reed,
you have your hand up.
Reed.
Go ahead.
Reed, maybe you and I can visit on this a little bit more, see how this might tie into this presentation if we have Nickum come in and how Drew might be involved also. I'll talk to Reed some more about it. And since we're on this subject of us being at the state TU meeting, and Reed just left, I
Sorry.
think we can move on.
While you're still
All
here,
right.
Jim, one question about when you talk to David, would it help if all of us sent Jim some questions about what kinds of water concerns or questions we have? Is it about usage? Bill could give the fact of all the water that's going down. So that Dave's going to say, well, what do you want me to answer?
Yeah.
Or do we do that after?
I'll just answer it. If anyone's got a burning question or desire to have something answered, shoot me the email. I'm on the distribution list. Send me an email.
All right, there you go. All right, let's move on, guys. We already stepped on this one. The next item is TU's mission shift, and I think we got halfway through, but we didn't finish, and Pam brought this up and sent us all a couple documents to look at. Pam, you want to talk a little bit more about amending or adopting our chapter's mission statement on our website?
Well, again, the reason I put this item on the agenda is because I hadn't heard any chatter about it. And I wanted to know if it affects our mission, which the document does explain. That's our mission, has been for quite a while. I don't see that anything that National TU and CTU, as far as I can tell at this point, changes the mission for CPC.
We might want to include a new item that says we will support the National Trout Unlimited initiatives.
We better.
Dean, are you and we're talking probably TU's new 5-year strategic mission.
Yeah, we're going to participate it in some way. We're not
Sure we
going to boycott it.
And I think we agreed to list that on our website again in a different position or a link. It's a long document.
No, what I would suggest is their mission statement, their new mission statement as related to this shift is about 3 lines. So I would like to update our website to show the new TU mission, which is
There's 2 things. There's a vision and a mission. And I just
Right.
sent you guys an email of what Pam sent and what we have with my suggested edits of ours. I think the new one is fine with them, but do we even need to have our own?
I would not at this meeting get into that
Right.
discussion. Again, my only focus was to point out TU has a new mission. We should probably update all of our website locations to show that and continue on with our own mission.
I think I think this is going to come up when I speak to Nickum of
Yeah,
whether that's even necessary. All those kind of. I mean, I think it's just going to flow naturally. So I think that got it.
okay, that's all I have on that.
Thanks, Pam. And while we got you on the horn, you're up next. So in the last newsletter, we asked for donations to the chapter. We talked a little bit about how we've cut our expenses, but we got back to more of a normal year of activities. And we're looking to cover some of our annual expenses to membership. It's, as you all know, it's December. It's tax season time, end of year write-offs, and so on and so forth. So we did an ask and we got some response. And Pam, how's it going with that?
Yes, I'm very happy to report that we've gotten $1,650 in donations since the 1st of December. And what I'm noticing, some of that is coming through PayPal and some of that is coming through checks being sent to our PO box. The thing I've noticed with PayPal is they are not withholding their typical processing fee. So the amounts that we are getting are the full donation amounts.
That's good.
Yeah. And I got an interesting email from PayPal that they were depositing $13.48 in our account. And I go, well, that's pretty odd. That's an odd number. And it came from their PayPal giving fund. So I did a little research on that.
You froze up, Pam.
I think she's got really slow Wi-Fi because she froze up the last meeting too.
First. And
Pam,
But
can you
we'll
start
take it.
over? We lost you about 1 minute ago
oh, okay.
about the PayPal charges aren't happening this time.
Okay, it looks
Then-
like our donations are free of PayPal's processing fees. And
Good.
I did receive $13.58 from a PayPal giving fund, which is set up to pay PayPal's processing fees for nonprofits. So anyone donating via PayPal on our site, they're not paying the fee apparently, and it's not being deducted from their donation to us.
Good. That's great. Good. All right. So 1,650, did you say?
Yes,
And that's, we're the 8th and the newsletter came out the 2nd, 1st or 2nd. So I guess that's 1 week's worth of, perhaps we'll get a few more flowing in. What I'm thinking of doing is, gosh, every time I open my email, I'm deluged with requests by all the organizations in town. It's Colorado Gives Day week. Everyone's asking for the same thing we're asking. I want to do it one more time. I'd like to do a blast in 2 weeks, a little small blurb of, hey, just a reminder, and this is the last time. We'd just like to remind everyone that December's coming to a close, and if you'd like the work we're doing and feel so inclined, if you had a great year, we'd love to see something from you. So anyone have any objections to one more reminder? We've only asked once, and I think we need to do it again.
I have a comment, though. Do we have our own 501c3 number, Pam?
yes,
So you can include in that the advantage of donating for all the old farts from their required minimum distribution, the tax advantage of doing that. It's a deduction.
Yeah, don't they know that? I don't know.
No.
If we have 9 people.
I talked to a guy today whose accountant never even told him about donating from their R&D and the tax deductions and never gave him a check, but they have to write a check directly to us or do a direct deposit.
Everyone is writing a check directly to us. Do
Not if they
need
go
that
through
number?
PayPal. They go through PayPal, they won't get the deduction.
So are you saying we should have that, our 501 number in our
No,
next?
but you just need to have language about that.
Okay, well, we can include that. That's no issue. But that helps if you think so. I don't know. It doesn't hurt. Anyone object to one reminder to the chapter? I wouldn't think so. Okay, so we're gonna.
I
do
have a
that.
question for Pam.
yes, Keith.
I don't know if you guys are like me, but I've been buying more and more stuff from Amazon lately. And they also have a checkoff line where you can name Collegiate Peaks Chapter TU as the donation. And I think last time I looked, I had like $68 going from Amazon to TU. I also shop in BV. For those of you who shop at BV, City Market has the same deal. You can designate a nonprofit there, and whatever their donation percentages goes to our chapter as well. So I don't know, I haven't heard much in the way of income noted for that, but I know it's a potential.
We do get a quarterly check from Tom Palka, could probably address this because he gets that information, but we are on the Amazon program. We do get a check. It's not much. Is that the situation, Tom?
Yes, we do. And it's, it's funny. So we've had it in a newsletter probably at least 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years. And I've put it probably about 3 years ago on our website, right on the homepage, to participate in the Amazon Smile. So it seems like maybe the information isn't really going out, or people aren't noticing it. So maybe there's a better way for me to highlight it. But I think even this year, we had 2 newsletters talking about the Amazon Smile program, which is what I was referring to.
I think so. Yeah. And what are they, like $20, $30, $40 for a quarter kind of reimbursements?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, they seem small because I know that from all of my Amazon purchases, I would have expected more as well.
Yeah, I think Patricia would cover the 40. It does seem small, but we are getting it, and we're getting City Market as well. And yeah, all right. We'll do another reminder. Next items, committee assignments. I sent out everyone a list of all the committees, descriptions of committees. We kind of rearranged participants on committees. Some people dropped off, some people were added on, and all the new board members told me where they wanted to serve, and I added those on. So are there any omissions or last minute changes on the current doc that I sent out this afternoon?
Yeah, sorry, Rick. I need to reiterate, I think what was in an email. Under the 2 first paragraphs, 2 first committees, projects and special project, I look back at what I wrote for 2021, and all that language is in there about planning of stream habitat restoration projects. Anything that our chapter is going to be involved with is going to come out of the Upper Arkansas Watershed Partnership. And, I guess the bottom line is I think I need to be on that committee just so I can interface with what I know is coming down the pipeline. I don't think we initiate projects, but there's plenty of people that are talking about them out there among all these various organizations. So I guess I'd just like to be added back to that committee. Special projects, I looked at the 2021, and it actually did say Ecosystems Learning Center plus the South Arkansas restoration. So I think that title needs to go back to that. I'm listed as the only one there, but in my opinion, the 1, 2, 3, 4 people that are on projects could be part of that second, part of the special projects is true. I just think there's going to be a lot of overlap and a lot of interfacing, that we need to make sure that it's understood that the South Arkansas project is really kind of a driver at this point, and it's managed by the Upper Arkansas Watershed Partnership. Just going down the scholarship committee, I don't know for sure, but I would say Dick Eisenberger is no longer on that committee.
He is.
He is still?
Yes.
Have you spoken to him about it?
Yes. Barbara has.
Okay,
So,
good.
That is all current. I came off and Dave joined. So that is current. For scholarship, we could use one more person, as I wrote you all. But let me back up real briefly. Keith, I understand the special project, the second part of what you said. Go back to the first. What is the first committee you're not listed as the chairman? Tell me again. I lost.
Well, it's just projects, and I don't want to be chairman, but I want to be part of that committee because I think I'm a good link
Oh,
between what's going on and
On
what
project.
is potential.
okay, okay, I did not get that. On projects, chairman, on projects, you weren't on it last year. So I picked up the names that were posted on the website, and the doc you all have was printed off the website, and then we made some small changes. So I will add you to projects. And your recommendation is that the people on projects could also be on the special projects. So that would be Kim, Rick, Pam, and Garrett, and everyone here is present. Anyone have, any of you, 3 others have a problem being added to special projects?
Well, Garrett can't back out. I've already talked to him about it, and he's on the team for that. So, and you know, there's not going to be a lot of things to get engaged with right off,
No,
because it's such a big project and such a big group. But I'd like to have people that know that they're part of that group and are available to be called in. Sometimes I can't make a meeting. It'd be nice to have a stand-in for that. And eventually there's going to be a lot of work. I hope we get the boots on the ground at some point. But yeah, if those 4 people are willing, I think that would be nice to have them on the ELC South Arc project as well.
Kim, are you good? And Pam and Garrett on his suggestion?
Yes,
Okay. I see Garrett joined us. Garrett, are you out there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm all good with all that. So
Okay. Welcome, by the way.
thank you.
Good to see you.
Can I keep going with 2 more comments?
Yeah.
The education committee should be youth education. We've never really done adult education and have always considered that sort of a separate entity. I don't have any objection to doing adult education. We tried a few feeble attempts a few years back, but what this committee is for youth education, everything to do
All
with
right.
youth.
I'll
So just add that. And then the last one is under fundraising, the fundraising committee. I think my name should be added to that as well, to be able to tap into my vast fundraising successful experience. I want you to know that I'm available to input.
You are
That's it.
on, dude. You are on. All right.
Keith, it's all
Good.
yours.
I have one thing. I've never agreed to be the program chair. You have a
But
seat.
you're always lining up the programs.
No,
Okay.
I'll be happy to be there and help suggest, but
Bob, you know everybody. Would you like to be the program-
exactly. That was my nomination.
Nomination, Karen, we could tag team it.
We
We'll get
can.
it done.
We'll get it done. Okay, thank you.
Like I
Bob.
said, I think I could line up a year's worth pretty
Okay.
easily.
All right,
All right.
thank
Bob,
you.
then if you don't mind, I'll insert you as chair and move Karen over once to the right. And Jim, you're also on that. I think that's yeah, you guys are gonna nail it. I'm looking forward to some good programs. I know you're gonna deliver it, Bob. All right. Jim, go ahead.
I disagree with Mr. Past President Krebs. I think the education should be for everyone, and if we can have a sub group in education for youth, fine, but I wouldn't want to have education just be for the youth. We've got the adults needed as bad as the kids do, so.
I wouldn't argue with that, Jim. I think there's a definite place for adult education. I've just got a handle on the youth, and there are so many programs there that I'm not going to do the adult. I would be pleased to nominate you to start the adult education program, and it can be based on what I know about youth, but that's something different, and I can't do it. And I do think it takes 2 separate tracks.
Yeah, so I'm just suggesting that we have under education, youth coordinator and other maybe. But I agree with you, Keith. I just wouldn't want to see it just say youth education. I think we need one committee.
But that's what I'll do. I'll do the youth. Somebody else does the adult. Gene, he's
We
going to
have
do
a
the adult.
separate committee called Adult Activities.
Exactly. If you
that
read the
could be
list.
called Adult Education, but I don't think the adults would come to adult education. They might come to adult activities.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
So
I think
we
that
got
could
that
fall-
covered.
But, well,
think
let's
it's
not,
covered.
I don't want to bury us in semantics. I just wanted to make sure that we had an all-encompassing committee there.
Unless, Jim, you want to take over and form a adult ed, I think we'll.
No, no,
Let
thank
it
you.
go.
No, we have adult activities.
That's
Right,
Yeah,
fine.
which as you look at the list of things, it mirrors a lot of what might be considered education. So I feel like it's covered.
Great. And thanks,
Great.
We
Dave and
could call
Brian,
it
for
adult-
stepping up.
Yeah, Dave and Brian on adult activities. Awesome. Larry Payne, even though he went off the board, he's staying on with special events.
Yay, Larry.
Garrett's
Rick.
joining community involvement.
Rick,
Um,
Rick,
yes.
we added that new committee that you sent out in the second revision of the committee document. We added officers and board description and recruitment committee.
It's at the bottom, Pam.
Yeah,
It's the very last one. We're kind
Yeah,
of
we're
working
not
our
there
way
yet.
down, but yeah, go ahead and talk about that now then, if you like. We'll skip some others.
Well, no, because I have an important one about community involvement. Because Ann and Henry they'll do one more year of the July 4th, but they want to pass that over to someone else.
Oh, really? One more
Yes.
year? One more
Yes.
year, okay. Oh, well,
I mean,
Well,
Carol
they say
Perry's
that
been
every-
around doing that.
They say that every year.
No, they're
Karen.
serious.
This time they're serious.
Karen, are they real serious?
Yes, Yes.
Okay,
they have it all lined out, just like Bob and Margie.
they do. It's a drill. Everyone comes together and it just happens. It's amazing. So I think maybe this coming forth, we talk about that as we approach it and see if someone can pay attention and take over some of the things that they do. It's well organized. All right, we're going to be looking for a future committee chair on the 4th of July Derby. I'm not going to go through all these one by one unless anyone has comments about them. Anyone
one
have a
thing,
comment
Rick.
for the last one?
On that community involvement, we don't do river cleanups anymore. I mean, we participate, whoever wants to, with AHRA. Is that what you're referring to? But
That has been, I picked, this is off the website. We did participate with them this past year on the
Okay.
river cleanup. Many of us attended, many of us
Okay.
worked on that project. We don't lead it. I asked them that we would like to be more involved and be one of the 3 sponsors. I think Garna's is the second one. And they said, yes, TU should be listed. So yeah, we're hopefully a little more in the lead on the river cleanup for next year.
Rick, I sent you an email a while ago on a comment on mine, so I don't want to take up the time now.
All right. Any other comments until the last one, which
I'd like, back to Keith, if we don't have a representative to the UAWP, I think we should appoint Keith to be our representative.
I already am. I've attended almost all the meetings. I think Bob Hamill has 2, haven't you, Bob? And then I think Reed has 2. I always identify my relationship as Collegiate Peaks Chapter TU. I think Reed often says he's friends of Browns Canyon, and Bob probably has his sign-in ID too. But there are 3 of us now that are representing, basically, now that Bob's on the board, and I'm glad to continue.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Alright.
keep going too, Keith, and I interact with a lot of those players on the Enviro Rec Committee for the roundtable. And so I was doing that before I even attended one of these UAWP meetings, but I think they're well worth it. They do a great job. So yes, I think between the three of us, we should get all the info that we can pass along. I agree with you.
The reason I'm bringing it up as an official representative is so you could take whatever positions we come up with to and be our voice to the group. I know you're attending, but I think we should make it an official appointee, whether it's one or all three of you.
Jim, are you making a motion then?
Yes, I made that motion.
Anyone?
Okay,
wanna
let me
second
state
that?
the motion. I make the motion that we have, go ahead, Gene.
Are they looking for another board member? Do they want a representative from Trout Unlimited? I mean, is that a special category?
There's really no categories at all. I mean, anybody who wants to participate can, and there's no vote about positioning during the meetings. It's a very important process, but I'm not sure we need a representative. I've been representing the chapter just by implication. If you guys want to assign that to someone, that's fine. It's not that formal, I guess. I don't know.
Well, that's my
Bob,
question.
No,
You know,
it's not that
we can say
formal.
we have a representative to the board, but they may not acknowledge that person as a representative. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's
As
formal.
far as our purposes, I think it just makes it cleaner for us to know who we go to if we do. Yeah, I know it's Keith, but when Keith doesn't want to do it or whatever, I think it should flow into the next person when Keith is no longer doing it. I setting a precedent here, I guess, of continuity, more professional approach.
Jim, I'm going to be doing this till the day I die.
Okay, well, then just make Keith the unofficial. I just think, for example, if we have an agenda, I think with an umbrella organization like that, it'd be great to have an update at our next board meeting, for example. It's on the agenda from our representative.
So you're going to make me do some work now, huh? I would be glad to be the representative, and between the three of us, I'm sure we can come up with a representation of progress made at each meeting.
So Jim, are you making a motion for Bob,
Yes.
Keith, and Jim to represent CPC at the UAWP officially?
Actually, I am. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Somebody want to second that?
Actually, I would rather not do that. I would rather not
Okay.
represent TU there. I want to make sure I'm in alignment with your strategies and everything first. And I think I am, but I am representing other folks there initially.
That's kind of
So,
what I'm getting at.
I'm
I would
more
hope
than
this
willing
motion
to
dies for
share.
lack of a second.
What's that?
I would hope this motion dies for lack of a second.
Okay, nobody's seconding, so, okay.
He's gonna do it.
David Moore has been very patient and he has an item on the agenda. Would Dave like to speak about
You mean Brian?
his item?
Where am I?
Yeah, don't start me. I may go all till midnight.
Okay, 2 minutes.
Wait, Dave, do you have to leave? Is that what you said, Gene?
Well, my sister-in-law got a new knee this morning, so she's convalescing with us for a few days, so I need to go play nurse here a little bit.
Oh, okay, I got you. So we're gonna skip forward then. Go ahead. Let's see. Let me get back to my agenda. We have David Moore here. And he sort of inherited Dick Eisenberger's fishing equipment. As we all know, Dick moved to South Carolina a year ago. So Dave's got all this stuff and he wants to know what to do with it. So Dave, I'll turn it over to you. You had an idea of an auction or something to get rid of it.
Yeah. Dick Eisenberger, I think most of you knew Dick. He and I fished together a few times over the last 20 years. His health and his wife's health had them move to, I guess it's North Carolina, where care was close to two of their kids. So when they left, they literally packed up and left the house and left it just the way it was the day before they were there. Everything was, I mean, there's Cheerios in the cupboards. It's that complete. And as you know, his wife was quite a quilter. She was an incredible quilter. She left 55 quilts in the house as well. So my wife and a couple of her friends took to that process and clearing out the lower level, which was all cloth. I think we ended up moving about 4 sewing machines and about 500 pounds of cloth of various kinds. And Dick's son, Mark, and I took on the rest of the house and cleaned it out. The one thing I didn't know about Dick, and I knew him pretty well, was that he had no organizational skills whatsoever in his house. It was really a shock to see that. I found boxes of flies literally in every closet of the house. I found fly tying stuff in every room of the house. So his son and I kind of got that all assembled in one spot so that we could start to move it into the community. We had a garage sale a few weeks ago, and Karen and Reed were there. They kind of got to see what it was all about. But remaining, we've sold the fly rods and reels and anything of significant value of small size. Mark has sold on eBay, and that's out of the way. I inherited the job of moving everything that Mark didn't want to sell on eBay. So right now I've got probably 50 books that we need to do something with. I've talked to Dick about that and also about the remaining things. There's nets, there's just odds and ends stuff. There's a lot of fly tying stuff as well. So my idea was to give members of the club a first shot at that. And I talked to Dick about it. He's very willing to give that revenue to the club if you elect to do that. And then I got to looking at my own stash of crap that I've been collecting for, I don't know, 25, 30 years. And there's a lot of stuff I could add to that as well and donate to the club and do something with. So Tom Pelka and I kind of kicked it around a little bit and with Rick. And the idea that we sort of talked about was to do a silent auction of sorts on the internet and open it up to Collegiate Peaks members and just let the club take the funds from there. If you'd like to organize it and do that, that merchandise will be available, as will anything that we each want to throw in from our own stash of stuff that we're not using, which I would imagine could be pretty significant. So you're asking for donations from the club, from the community and members. This could be viewed as that, as a donation from Dick, who is doing very well, by the way. He sounds incredible. He sounds just like he did the last time I talked to him. He's got a great sense of humor and he's doing well with his situation. So I'm happy to hear that as well. So it's up to you if you want to kick it around. Tom is our technician.
Dave, I
He's the
missed
guy
the part about who's organizing this. Did I hear you say you would organize this and we would all also contribute stuff?
Karen, you're really sly doing that. No, you did not hear that. You absolutely did not hear that. I will be happy to participate after you get it organized.
Somebody's gotta
Tom
take
gets-
all those friggin' pictures. I tried to have my husband do eBay and he sold a Patagonia pack for $20. It was 90.
If I would have seen that, I would have bought it.
I know.
So that's kind of the proposition I've got for the chapter is I don't think there's a time frame on this specifically. But the other thing I'd like to mention to you, Aspire is having quite a time with the Planning and Zoning Commission. And Keith, I want to commend you on a phenomenal letter that I just had the opportunity to read yesterday that you wrote to the Planning and Zoning Commission about Aspire. And boy, that's the best letter I've seen in the whole process. So congratulations on that. I don't think the Planning and Zoning Commission even saw it, frankly, based on their actions, but
It's
thanks
not
for
listed.
doing that.
Yeah, they did
Well,
not.
thank
list
you.
it.
Just so you guys know, there was an ad in the paper the other day and Aspire Tours is for sale.
Oh.
And my bookkeeper tried to call them and she couldn't get through because it was always the message machine was totally full. So they might not be around very long.
Hey, Bill, there's a sign up on one side of the rock dock
Right.
about Aspire Tours. What's
Right.
that?
That was where they were basing out of the one year that they actually based. So if you go
Oh.
down there, you'll see there's 4 vans and trailers that are parked in the yard, and then there's a garage, and then they have 3 shipping containers that they also have full of gear.
I see.
Okay, let's not go down that rat hole right now.
That's right. We could talk
But,
about that at great length. I've spent 11
yeah,
hours.
I would
listening.
encourage each one of you to kind of start delving into that because the decision process is coming close to an end, I think. But back to the auction. If any of you have any other ideas, or Rick, you can handle the discussion if you'd like about what we've got and what we could accumulate and how we could do that. I think we could probably raise, if we're lucky, maybe a couple $1,000.
And
Yeah,
Tom,
I guess if I may chime in.
I was going to
Um,
ask.
I just actually got a donation of some other fishing stuff from a friend who said, "Oh, you know, Tom, you're plugged in with TU and with youth education, and I have some gear, you know, that I'd like someone to use. You know, use your best judgment." So I wonder, we could set up a silent auction through the internet. There are a bunch of sites, you know, they charge a monthly fee or something like that. Which would be kind of just like an eBay of sorts, but without paying the eBay fees. Or we could try to set up some kind of a setup on our website where, as we get donation, we post them instead of, you know, waiting until March when they might sell better. So I thought one of those two approaches would probably work okay. But if we wait till March or April, you know, that's kind of a lot of stuff to store. And my hope was to just basically make it, you know, a few pictures in one paragraph and something that multiple people could take and submit, so we could have a few people just submitting stuff to us. And I'd like to keep it local so we don't have to mail anything and deal with boxes and shipping and all that jazz.
Two questions. David, do you have a timeline on when you need to or want to get rid of things, or is it all stored in a place that it can be stored in for now?
Well, it's in my barn along with all my toys. So there's not that much. There's like those big storage box, the plastic box, and nets and stuff like that. But mostly, there's some really great books. There's, like I say, there's probably 40 or 50 books, and they're all grade A. They're all really, really well known. Now, Dick just had tons of books, and we found those all over the house too. You would just it was a cacophony of. It was a mystery. Every
Sounds
time
like
we
Dick
took
and I would
one-
get along. My house sounds the same. I'm
so
wondering, I
there's
know,
no-
Tom, you mentioned wanting to stay local. If there's an option just through the Facebook Marketplace that would be free and easy, I don't know.
That's an interesting situation. That's a very people use that locally here, don't they? That's a popular.
They do.
Yeah.
I just sold 2 of his inflatable boats on eBay Marketplace. So yeah, it works great.
I think Marketplace is cool. I think my concern would be that if we have, like, let's say 30 items that we want to list, you know, doing 30 listings on Facebook Marketplace is just a lot of work. My hope was that
Well,
you know, to set it up or something else would be just easier to upload, you know, a picture and a couple of pictures and a text. That's all.
Well, I'm just wondering more like if we do it more as a garage sale or a rummage sale or something, and you can still list all the things and kind of do it within a time frame, so it doesn't linger. It's kind of a come make your purchase this weekend or whatever.
Sure, that
And
would
not
work.
just something that sits, but kind of make an event out of it almost even. I don't know.
Yeah, we could. I was, it's always unknown, do we want to go ahead and do it online so that, people are, I guess we don't really want to ship it, so we don't want people from Denver necessarily bidding on it unless they come get
Right.
it. But sometimes it's able to, just get more people silently bidding from home kind of a thing, as opposed to showing up to a garage sale and expecting everything for $5.
Right. But Tom, don't you have to take a picture of everything, like an open fly box and every book and all that?
Yeah, probably.
So who's going to do that? I'm not good at that.
Well, I mean, I think I can take pictures and stuff. It just depends, like, if it's a question of, listing 60 items on that, and I have to look at the different silent auction sales. But, if it's a question of something that we could, split up between various people, I think that might be okay. And I think we get, gear donations every so often. So maybe coming up something we can put either on our website, and then link from the newsletter. We could link from Facebook Marketplace, to that as well, saying, hey, we have a TU chapter sale, click on this link to see the items, kind of a thing.
So-
I think,
I have a suggestion.
Go ahead.
I think electronically would be much better. I'm sure Tom can verify this, but for a few years we tried a gear swap, equipment swap. And I think part of the problem there was people sort of got rid of the stuff that was less desirable. But as I recall, those efforts were a complete flop.
Yes, they were. And then in fact, in Gear Swap, we only had 2 listings. I think I had a pair of boots that I was trying to sell, and Jeff Porter had something to sell. And as far as I know, nobody ever held up on either of the 2 items. So yeah, we got rid of the whole feature.
Just as,
So would a
as
good committee, be Dave and Kim and Tom and anybody else who's techie?
I think Kim and Tom would do a great job.
No, this is your
I
idea.
was gonna say, so long as I get first dibs at the books, I think I can do that.
Hey, Kim, come on over. I'll close
All
my
right,
eyes.
deal.
So
All
just
right.
historically, some of you may remember in the probably fairly distant past at this point, the club inherited 150 belt buckles. Karen, do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Belt
that
buckles.
I
was,
don't need more belt buckles. Oh.
anyway, I sold those on eBay, and that was quite a task. We also inherited about that same time about 40 or 50 books, and
Right.
I did those on eBay too. So I think there's a better way. I think there's a better way than that, because that's really intensive.
All right. we
Well, and
have-
Tom and I, we can figure it out offline, but I think there's a way probably through Facebook that keeps it local. We don't have to worry about shipping and still get rid of stuff and make some money.
So is
Hey,
there a
Bill.
deadline to get unwanted gear to you? And Bill, hopefully you're well. Sorry, you already left.
How about Tom and I
Bill.
will get in touch and we'll come up with a plan, and that way we don't have to get bogged down in it tonight.
Does anyone else want to get involved with this? Any other volunteers?
So I would, Karen, to answer your question, I would get involved, but I'm very involved in Sunrise Rotary. A lot of you know
I
that.
know.
And part of my commitment there is that I sell all of the booths at the Sunrise Home and Garden Show that we have every year. And we're just coming into the 3-month cycle. It starts that, and that's extremely time consuming for me.
Well, the 3 of you can meet one time and you can tell them what to do, like I would, and then let them do it.
Or they could just do it
Deal.
on their own without
That's
me
right.
saying a word.
You got the stuff.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a delegation.
Dave, I'd volunteer, but I'm going to be gone the next 3 months, and I think that's probably the time frame you're thinking of trying to move this. But if you haven't gotten it off the road, by the time I get back in April, I'm happy to walk across the street and bring my camera and do whatever I can do and help.
You know, Rick, a couple of weeks ago, you were going to be here for the duration. Now, I think you're just playing that asleep on purpose.
All right.
For those of you who
Okay.
don't know, Rick lives 100 yards away from us, so.
Hey, did you see me out trying to usher a cow off the property?
No, but there were two
Across
cars
the
running.
river?
and They kept stopping and asking me if I've seen a black cow.
Yeah,
And I said,
yeah.
"Oh, no.
He showed up in the dark today. Just when I
We
was
gotta
trying to
move on here.
All right, I'll let you
Gotta
go.
go back to
Dave.
G.
The info and whoever's involved, please, whoever'd like to be involved, please contact one of those people, Kim, Tom, or Dave.
Or Kim.
Bless you. All right.
I'm
Thanks,
sorry,
Dave.
I'm gonna have to boogie, but I'll see you guys and just let me know any changes to the website. I'll go ahead and make those.
Thank you, Tom.
Very good.
Thanks,
Thank you,
All right,
Tom.
thanks, bye.
I'm
All
gonna
right,
go
guys.
also. I've got to give drugs to my patient.
Thanks,
All right.
Dave.
Good night, Dave.
Take care.
Tell Janet hi.
I
And
will.
Julie.
And Julie, yep, okay. Bye-bye.
We better
Bye.
warp speed. It's 1 hour and a half already.
Well, that's okay. We have stuff to do.
Okay, now we got to move back to committees. The last committee, and it's a new committee, is officers and board of directors job description and recruitment. And this evolved because of our problem with all the duties that the president has to do. And no one after myself has volunteered to do that. Keith did it forever. It's a lot of work. So we've all, and Pam brought this up this week, we need to get a few people together, especially people that had this position before, such as Keith, and try to redistribute the responsibilities amongst the officers and board members. So, and perhaps also at the same time, try to work on recruitment of future board members and future officers. So, Pam, do you have anything to add? What we're looking for is to put some people together to rewrite the job description of the president VP, which are basically the same set of responsibilities, and get to work on this so we can get ourselves, a leader for this coming year and thereafter.
Well, again, my idea on this committee is to get these past office holders together, sit down, hash out the job description, which we've been talking about for quite a while, and come back to the board with a recommended description, so the full board does not have to hash out descriptions. We're pretty close, I think, on our president and vice president, but I think if the approach is to delegate more from those offices down, all those positions need to have their descriptions reviewed. And just a small committee, 2 or 3 people, I'm willing to be on it. And then we would have a tool that we could use for recruitment going forward. And also this committee could then perhaps morph into the nominating committee that we always need at the end of the year.
Any comments? Okay, we have a recommendation to form a committee. Pam's volunteered. I'll throw my hat into the ring since I've done that position. And we really are looking to Keith also. Keith, are you willing to help out here?
Well, as the only president we've had for the last 8 years, I guess I better participate. I can definitely lend my negative comments to the whole situation. No, I'll help.
All right. Anyone else? Karen?
I can do that.
I
Another
don't need
past
to be on
president.
the committee. But
Yeah.
I would like to make a point that we need to have a job description that not only one person will accept, but a succession of people will accept going forward. So we're not in this position every year. So when I first saw this current one, I said, whoa, we need job description light. So.
Come on board.
You know,
Gene, I
that's
got
what
your
we
name.
need here.
You brought this up and I just wrote your name down because you're the man. You're absolutely right. So we have 5 people so far.
Any new folks
froze
who've been on
up,
boards want to do this?
I'll do it if you guys want me to, but
We
that's
do.
my emphasis is on job description light. Get it down to what we really need and make it attractive to people.
I want Gene on the committee just for that reason. We need somebody keeping us in balance here. I tell you, if I had read the president's job description when I first ran for president, I would have dropped out. I wouldn't have done it. It's just too much.
Okay, we'll fix it.
And I was gonna say, I'd be interested in helping as well.
Thanks, Kim.
All right.
Awesome.
I think,
Good.
Well, let's ask the board.
but one of those with a goal of making it manageable for those folks that might have an interest, but we don't want to scare them away with a job description that's overwhelming or expectations that are overwhelming.
So 2 questions. Rick, when are you leaving town?
I'm leaving in 10, 11 days.
What's the
And
date?
so- The date I'm leaving?
Yeah.
Well, it's a moving target. It's the week prior to Christmas.
Okay, like the 20th, roughly?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, my availability is past that, up to, probably the 23rd.
Kim, since
So-
you're the only person working, would you want to come up with some dates or times that we might get together for a couple hours before Christmas, before Rick leaves, if it's possible?
Yes. And what's
Okay.
our, Rick, what's our deadline? And
Well, yeah.
I mean, I start winter break. I think the 17th is the beginning of my winter break and I'm off for 2 weeks. So,
Okay, and by the way, I'm available during that time that I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'll be traveling for a week and 2 weeks actually. So probably by mid-January forward, I'm available anytime. I don't know, my availability with internet and hotel rooms and traveling from the time I leave for 2 weeks thereafter. So I'm real flexible after that, but probably by mid-Jan at the latest, anytime you guys want to meet. So don't put it up on me. You guys decide. Let me know and I'll just make it work.
Well,
Gene?
well, my idea, I'm going to be out of town, leaving on Friday. I won't be back until the 18th of December. I don't think this is so critical that we need to try and stuff it into the end of December.
I agree.
Okay.
Let's move this to
Let's
January.
let's try and do it starting in
Mid-Jan.
January.
After the middle of
And-
January, and have Kim come up with
Yeah.
some dates she can meet. Do you know how to do
Yeah.
Doodle, Kim?
I have not used Doodle in a really long time, but I
Oh, it's
bet I
so
can
easy.
figure it out.
And then we can just
So,
send it.
and then, yeah,
Yes.
and then
And
we can meet via Zoom and, and handle it that way. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not pressing that we need to schedule it right now.
Yeah,
But
well, and
getting
that
the
gives us,
committee formed, I think is a good idea.
yeah, and that gives us some time to do some research and look at some things and kind of
Great,
come in with the plan, hopefully.
All right, good.
thank you.
Let's target the meet mid-Jan on, and let's all enjoy the holidays up to that point. And we'll do a doodle or something where we can all agree when we can first initially meet. Do a little homework first, job description, and then see what we can come up with. I like Gene's suggestion of light is, I mean, we have a description that's page long for the president. We have to cut that back to a light version. So I'm all for that. And thank you, Gene, for bringing this up, and Pam, and let's get on it next month. All right, moving on. We're done with committee assignments, are we? Is there anyone that has any on committees? Are you on the right committees? is someone on a committee they don't want to serve on? Do I have all the information? Other than suggestions tonight to make adjustments on it. All right,
Great job.
nothing?
Back
Are we
up to
good?
I.
We're back to G, actually. And this is, Pam's kind of done it already. We've got a lot of things on our website under policies and so forth that need to be cleaned up. We've got stuff like rules for using the projector. Do we even have a projector anymore? The Caddis Festival ticket policies. Pam, you want to, I mean, we're going back to 1998 with some information that we need to review and update and eliminate. Anything on that?
What I can do is I'll send out to the board my thoughts on what to do with these. Most of them are old and irrelevant, and I think the whole thing should be taken down from our site until we can get them updated. Again, there's nothing pressing on that. It's just a housekeeping item. But I will take a look at that and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Pam.
Just as a point of information, we still own a projector and a screen. It's been stored at my house for a year, but we don't use it anymore. It's old technology, but we still own a projector and anybody can borrow it under the policy if they still want.
And we may need it if we ever meet in person again.
Well, then you
We
do
also-
screen mirroring, but maybe, yeah.
Yeah, we also own a speaker and a microphone that Tom Arnott and Eric bought for year-end review events, which I have in possession. I got that from Eric 2-3 weeks ago, thinking we would have, well, it's longer than that, thinking we were going to need it for our year-end review. So just so y'all know.
That's
that-
good. I'll take that and store it off your hands. League of Women Voters will rent it from you. Or buy it from you.
We don't use it, so that'd be fine. I have it in my house to sit here for 3.5-4 months, so I'd be happy to pass it on if no one has an objection with another club using that equipment. It's new.
Which
primarily.
equipment are we
Pretty new.
speaking of?
It's a speaker, cable, microphone that we use for announcements and talking about the slideshow and so on and so forth at the annual year-end review meeting.
Well, I would say it'd be okay to lend it out, but I wouldn't give it away.
Oh, no. We'll still need it ourselves if we ever meet in person again. Hopefully next year we have a in-person year in review meeting and we'll use it then. But it's at my house. It's sitting, what was that, Eric? So it's getting passed around, and Karen, if no one objects,
I'll store it.
Women's Research Group needs it. I think that's perfectly fine. All right, thank goodness. Moving on. Pam sent out financials a couple weeks ago, our update on where we're at money-wise, balance-wise, and different accounts, so on and so forth, to the new board members. Do any of you have any questions to her on any of the financials or any of the docs policies that we have on our website? That question would go to Garrett, Dave, Brian, Bob. Are we good on all that? Okay, we're good. Of course, you could always raise questions on that at any time in the future. Karen, what's with the beavers? Reed, Karen.
That's
beavers.
Reed.
Reed, you want to talk
Is
about
he here or
beavers?
is he asleep? Young Reed
Coco.
Dills, where'd you go?
I'm here. Yeah. So I'll put my beautiful picture back up too. We have an opportunity, I think 4 Mile Creek used to, which is just north of Buena, a small little creek, used to be a really good little fishing stream. TU used to stock fish in it up in the wilderness area. Another thing we've discovered is that the upper end of the creek is also habitat for boreal toads, which are an endangered species. So I've been working with some people and to reintroduce beavers, both upstream and downstream. Downstream, those of you that have helped out with the sixth grade
Conservation.
conservation camp everywhere realize that there's very little, there's no fishing access at all anymore. We used to take kids fishing because the beaver dams are gone. And so reintroducing beavers is beneficial to both the fisheries and both to maintaining the population of boreal toads. I had a meeting yesterday, and we actually had a presentation from the Envision people about the boreal toads in the entire county, and they've confirmed that there are still some toads up there, but Karen and I have been up there a couple of times, and there are no beaver dams, and the habitat is diminished significantly. So the ace in the hole is the guy that's in charge of this for the state of Colorado used to work for me. And so he's enthusiastic about getting something done. And so I'm just keeping you guys in the loop at this point in time, but eventually we're going to want to have a letter from the chapter in support. We don't need it now, but we probably might need it before the next, depending on when the next board meeting is. Just a letter of support. And then as things progress, there may be some opportunities to work with the Forest Service and Parks and Wildlife. Forest Service will probably be the leader in this because all of it is on Forest Service land. And they actually have one of their rangers one of their employees is actually working on, that's one of her jobs. So at this point, I'm optimistic, but I wanted to just fill you guys in on that because it's number one. I mean, not only could we help preserve an endangered species, but we can also provide some access for anybody, but kids in particular, to be able to fish close to home. We've lost that fishery. I mean, it's really pretty sad. So that's about it.
Well, one other thing, the Forest Service spent a lot of money rerouting part of that 4-mile trail away from the first big beaver pond because of boreal toads and because they didn't want them to get too close to the pond, but now there's zero water there. So they have a vested interest in bringing that pond back, I would think.
Yeah, so anyway, and before
Just to
Jim gets
confirm,
left, what?
just to confirm, that's all Forest Service land up in the area you're talking about? And did I hear you correctly read that there is a colony of boreal toads up there now?
In the upper end, up in the wilderness area, I don't know that there's any toads down where the kids, where we take the kids, although I could find out about that. But we used to stock up there before the beaver dams blew out, and every time we go up there, we see evidence of toads. So, and I was told yesterday there are still some up there. So
Cool. I'm a toad guy. Glad to hear it.
good. The point here too is a beaver, I mean, there's been a lot of work done with beavers all over the country, and they've been proven to really benefit the ecosystem wherever you put them. So it's a
More
way.
water. More water is retained
That's right.
when there are beavers. All right, talk about the trains. Come on.
All right, yeah.
All right, so now as you learned a while back last year when we were working on this train that we were worried about running an oil train running through Chaffee County. The same company that wanted to do that, and we put a stop to them, and we didn't end up, we slowed them down. But the same company who owns that train is trying to get about a 70-mile track in Utah to move coal. I mean, to move oil to the down around New Orleans. And so it's a complicated issue. at this point in time, what I want to do is just send this alert out. The Center for Biological Diversity, it'll just give you a short understanding of what's going on, and then you just have to click on it. I mean, I'm sure many of you have done this kind of thing before. You click on it, put your name and your address, and you're basically signing a petition. Real quickly, it's looking like it's a bait and switch. As you know, it's becoming clear that the oil trains probably couldn't make it over the passes to get here, but there's another route through the Moffett Tunnel. And so what we're thinking is going to happen now is that they want to be able to, once they get this track set up, the 70 miles, they can hook into the UP and come to Colorado. And then instead of going through Chaffee County, they'll go through the Moffett Tunnel. But the real problem with that is they want to do a bait and switch so that a lot of the lighter rail stuff would eventually end up here anyway. And you're going to have an oil train that, I'll give you a quick quote here in a second, but they'll be moving very dirty oil along the Colorado River from the time the train enters the state until the time the train leaves Pueblo for years and years and years. And I'm gonna just read you one paragraph. I know we've got a long meeting. So the Uinta Basin Railway is a proposed 88-mile long rail line from Utah to Cayenne, Utah, which is just north of Price. The purpose of the railway is to facilitate export of new fossil fuel extraction in the Uinta Basin with a goal of increasing production from the current level of 80,000 barrels per day to 350,000 barrels per day. Conservative estimate of carbon emissions from this new production is 53 million tons per year. And then the environmental impacts that affect TU members the most is the potential of an oil spill anywhere along the Colorado River. Apparently, this is a waxy crude, and they don't know how to clean it up yet. So, what I'm going to send out to you guys tomorrow will just be a thing by the Center for Biological Diversity to sign a petition. And basically the petition is going to the Forest Service because the Forest Service is going to have the final decision on this 88-mile track. At least there are other steps after that, but if it doesn't get through the Forest Service, then it's done for. Questions?
Reed, if this track gets built, is the route across Colorado the only place they can go with that railroad then? Or can it go other places?
They've done enough research that it's either got to go, over Tennessee Pass, or it's got to go through the Moffett Tunnel. And the one thing they haven't looked into, to my knowledge, is, and I'm not clear why they wouldn't be able to run, why they couldn't go north to I-80 and then run along, the I-80 corridor. There's a train there. But the bottom line is, we got climate change. What are they thinking?
Money.
Well, I know what the proponents are thinking, but the regulators, what are they thinking? I mean, everything I'm reading now is that every proposal has to take in long-term climate change. So I don't know, but there's a big, this is in Utah, and of course the Utah legislature is wants this really badly. And so we'll see. More information to come, but right now it'll be a very simple thing for you guys to do. And the other thing, just pass it on to friends and ask them because if we get some, just like the last time when we got a lot of info into the Surface Transportation Board, it might make the Forest Service think twice about okaying this.
Reed, where's the Moffett Tunnel? How long is it? And
it's over.
Where does it dump it out?
It's near Winter Park. I don't know exactly, but it's over near Winter.
That far north?
Yeah. And so that's the same train. That's the same train that runs from, the ski train that runs up from Denver in the wintertime. It's the same track. And so basically, the train goes parallel to the Colorado River, and then it heads north. I'm not sure when, but where, you know, by the time you get up to Kremling, it's, you know, you'll see the train again. And the Moffett Tunnel is east of Kremling.
So why wouldn't they continue on I-70 heading east towards Denver and then dive south? Why would they
Because
go up
that's
north?
the Moffett train is the only tracks that get them to Denver. There are no other alternatives. So the train that you see going through Glenwood goes through the Moffett Tunnel. It doesn't go, you know,
It doesn't continue further east to Denver? It dives, it heads north around Glenwood then? Okay, all right. Any other questions on that? We got to stop it. Not allowed to happen. Next item is, we'd like to include general membership to the board meetings. We talked a little about that in writing this week. How does everyone feel about a blast invite to membership, maybe a few days before our next board of directors meeting with the agenda and a Zoom invite to attend? We'd like, you know, if we were to send this out, I'm thinking not a lot of people would respond, but if we got 2 or 3 or 4, half dozen people to join us, that might just help with recruitment for future board members, bring a few more people in line with and educated with what the board is doing every other month with our meetings. And I think the downside might be that it might slow a meeting down if we got, you know, general membership involved, asking, you know, basic questions, but that's okay too. We're all thinking, a lot of us are thinking we ought to throw it out there and just see if there's other people we can bring into our circle. I know there's 2 or 3 people that volunteered to join the board after we put our slate together. That might be, and they volunteered to serve on committees. And we're going to send out also in the next newsletter a request to join committees. So the committees we have now might have a couple more people, names on them if we do get any responses. So just throwing that out, that's kind of a general consensus of what we'd like to do.
Dean, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, you know, the board members have always been invited. I can't see a lot of members sitting through 2 hours of this. You know, if we wanted to say something different, something new, we could say general members could submit an agenda item, and we'd include that at the beginning of the meeting, so they didn't have to sit through the whole meeting.
That's a good idea.
Point. Yes, definitely.
Well, and one of the things, having spent some more time on the school board meeting situation, one of the things we keep in mind when we're hosting our school board meetings, they are a meeting in public, not a public meeting. So there's that fine line of, you know, as a general member coming to the meetings, it's still a board meeting, and balancing and managing, whether it's through public comment or, you know, making sure you submit your items or requests for an item to be added prior to the meeting, but it's not designed to be a public meeting or a general membership meeting, and making sure it's managed that way. That helps. I don't know. That was an interesting, something interesting on other things I've learned.
So have you
Town council
allowed
doesn't-
the general public to make comments during the meeting, or do the questions have to be presented prior to?
Nope, for our school board, the way it's run is we have our public comment session, and they, again, before the meeting, have the opportunity to submit a request to speak. They get 3 minutes, and that's it. If they want to submit a topic or an item, they're welcome to, but even the discussion during the meeting it's a board meeting in public, but you're welcome to attend and see what happens. So I think part of it's a management where we don't I think inviting the general membership is wonderful, but just making sure that we don't lose focus of making sure our board meetings are productive and we're getting stuff done. That makes sense.
It's a fine line.
It
Yeah,
is a
gotta
fine
walk-
line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, you do. Well, that organization is maybe a little more controversial than talking about what we do.
Well, town
But-
council and the Buena Vista School Board do it the same way. To comment,
Otherwise,
make a public comment.
yeah, otherwise it just gets cumbersome and you get off track on your business,
Yeah.
taking care of business.
Well, Gene's point of, general members are always welcome to attend board meetings, but I don't know how we've communicated that. I've always had that feeling too, but I don't know where it was said, or maybe a general meeting or something, but just something to reemphasize.
Well, Rick,
it's been-
I drafted a little article, I think, to you earlier. I'm going to work on that with what Kim said, and I'll draft an article and send it to the board that maybe we can put in the next newsletter and see how you guys think, if that's saying what you want it to say.
Yeah, I think we need to put something in the newsletter that addresses all our concerns and what you're talking about. Good.
Rick got something
Any
to
other
add.
discussion? Yeah, Jim, go ahead.
I agree with Kim and the other boards that I'm on. I'm on a particular board that is so worried about transparency that our board meetings turn into a marathon where we don't get our business done. So here's what I've suggested, and that it hasn't worked for this particular board that I'm on because whatever the reasons are. But to avoid that kind of a non-productive and non-productive scenario is, like Kim said, give them couple minutes, 3 minutes to speak before we get into our business for anything that's not on the agenda, and that should take care of it. So,
And they could ask questions in the chat that we might be able to address at the end of the meeting.
and that's one of the beautiful things about Zoom is the chat. Yes. So that, if Karen's going to write something up, I would make those two suggestions and with the chat and give them the time to speak before our business and anything that's not on the agenda.
Why are we trying to get participation in board meetings? Would you guys go to a board meeting of an association you weren't part of? I mean, I think the possibility of getting interested in attending a board meeting would be pretty low. If we're really trying to increase participation, let's go back and work on the membership meetings. For a while there, we had a great membership meeting series. You need a good speaker. I always gave an announcement, public service announcement to both papers and both chambers of commerce. We used to get about, I remember 44 people at one meeting that we had. And I think Greg Poliski was speaking at that one.
Those are the only one.
But I think that would be an opportunity to recruit people, to tell them about the board, to invite them, because these are people that already have shown up. They've got a little interest in the organization or at least the presentation. And then that would be the methodology to recruit new people, not trying to get them to attend a business meeting. I mean, I just don't see the import of that.
Well, the only issue would be if some member had an issue that they wanted to bring before the board. If
Or
a
an
member
idea for a
wanted
program
to
or
tell us
concern.
something.
We're a public
Yeah, and I think just
nonprofit.
I just think letting people know that they're invited, they're welcome to join us. And you have an interest, it's a good way to let them know they're welcome.
Worth a try. It's worth a try. I'm not optimistic.
But knowing kind of, Keith, I appreciate like knowing what the motivation is to inviting them. And I think largely it's just to let them know they're invited. I don't know.
I agree. I also look at it as a way, if we're like our 3 or 4 new board members now, I don't know if any of them have attended a board meeting to see how we conduct our business, but it is a way, another avenue for us to hopefully take any possible future prospective members and see how we operate. And to just simply say you're invited to the meeting, there's not, I don't see anything wrong with that. I think it's another avenue for us.
And I think especially during COVID this past year and a half, where we haven't had a in-person general meeting, where Keith alludes to, we have the opportunity to reach out and in person talk to people at a meeting and try to pull them into what we're doing and get them involved. We've gone to, off into the internet space, and we haven't had that contact, one-on-one personal contact with people to include them, bring them in. The board's kind of operating and doing its own thing, and the membership reads about it in the newsletter. So my thinking was to try to, one of our only avenues without in-person meetings is to try to invite them to attend if they so feel inclined, so that they feel included. But yeah, and I don't
think it's going to hurt anything.
people doing that, but it's an offer, and we have new people moving in and expressing interest to get involved, and it's hard to get people involved without in-person interaction. So,
Well, why don't we have Karen present what she said she's gonna write up, and then we can vote on it next time.
Or I'll just send it to you all and ask for a response, yay or nay, or edits by a certain time. Because we need to put it in the newsletter.
yeah, I'd like to get it in by the January 1 newsletter. So let's move towards that date. And well, Karen will write it up, and we'll throw it out in an email and see what everyone's comments are at that time.
I'm going to go, but Bill Dvorak put a note in the chat. He's 10 days out from back fusion. So in 10 days, he'll be under the knife.
No, he's recovering.
He's
from
already
back fusion,
done
I think.
surgery.
He's already had it.
Oh, you can interpret that either way, can't you?
Yeah, you can.
That
All right.
or else-
See you
that or
guys.
else he's
Bye, Keith.
major drug
Happy
right now.
holidays.
Same to y'all.
All right. One last thing, any committee reports? Membership report was sent out to the board last week by Tom Ornat. And to our new board members, we try to have committee chairman send via email their reports so that we don't have to go through them one by one at board meetings. Board meetings are long enough, so I've included item 6 is if any chairman forgot to submit anything, now's your opportunity.
I
and
will
if
say
not-
to the new people, this was an extra long board meeting because of the discussion of all the committees and that kind of
One-
stuff.
Yeah, one time, once a year kind of stuff. So, but at least you witness that we don't yell and scream at each other.
Only Karen.
We're all,
Shut
yeah,
up,
only
Kim.
Karen, and but we're pretty
Sorry.
friendly, and it moves on, and it is a little longer tonight than normal. We did cover a lot. So, moving, let's wind this meeting up. Do any of the new board members have any questions or comments, or of course, any member, any board member? Any questions, any comments, anything else, follow up from what we've covered tonight?
Quick question. I don't know if you guys already do this or if it's a possibility, but is there any sharing of mailing lists between other like-minded, nonprofits or groups that might be able to expand the reach for, requests for fundraising or for sending out petitions or anything like that?
Our policy is
question.
not to share our mailing list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, getting other people's mailing lists.
Oh. Most nonprofits have that same policy, however. But you can always use your personal contact list to share stuff that's appropriate. Or if you know people who might be interested that you would want us to reach out to, we can do that too. Well, does that answer your question, Dave?
Sure, yeah, I just was,
Good question. Yeah. All right. Anything else from anyone? All right.
I want
Do I
to
have a
thank our
motion?
new board members for being here.
Yes.
Like,
And don't be afraid to speak up. Just tell me to shut up and say, I need to say something. It's okay. Dave Moore already said that to me in the chat. Not like that.
I forgot to tell David Moore, who actually, besides the subject matter that he wanted to attend tonight and cover,